Hi everyone, how you doing? This week is my question. It is, hold on, let me pull it up. If you could be one gender instead of two, would you? And why? And which gender would you choose? Of course, if that's applicable. And a bonus, a book or TV character that has inspired you. So, I asked this question because I don't have an answer. I think about it a lot, and it's never been a topic that's ever come up on bigenderdotnet, so I was kind of curious to know if anyone else thinks about it. And I've really enjoyed some of the responses already from Bryn and Sydney and Muir. And I was a little surprised by the depth of the responses, but I suppose that comes with the territory. There's been some really great conversation on bigenderdotnet about the topic, and it's sparked quite a bit, both with the bonus question and this topic. So, yeah. Well, my response, when I'm feeling really strongly one gender or the other, then I definitely do feel like I wish I was cisgendered, whichever that one it is. And I tend to be male more often, and so when I'm feeling really strongly male or really strongly female, I'm just like, I don't ever want to stop. I just want to, forever be this gender. But the majority of the time, I like being both. There's some really great things about both genders. I love just being a guy and doing my thing and fuck the world. And then when I'm a girl, I love being in lots of colors and on top of the world and everyone's looking at me and yeah. I couldn't choose. And being bigender is such an important part of who I am. I feel very, very privileged to be both, to be able to understand both genders, to be able to move freely, and it's been really great. Actually, Virginia brought up something really good on the forums this week, and hold on, I want to read it actually. We've been talking about a lot of different things on the gender and about gender on the site, obviously, and we have this one topic about hair, and this is a huge part of the struggle of being bigender. When you choose to live out your life presenting as both, you have to find a way to compromise and with both. You can't just go all out and be one gender and then expect your other gender to be happy with that. If you're a girl and you constantly look like a guy, then your girl side kind of gets a little bit pissed off, because then they're never really truly respected as the girl that they are. And so several of our members have been chiming in this week about haircuts. They've gotten haircuts. I got a haircut too today, just a couple days ago. And Virginia was writing about her experience, and I've been struggling to really create words about such an obvious thing, and she said it perfectly. She said, having to satisfy two senses of genders really sucks. And I agree that's just a great way to put it. But I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. I love being able to go back and forth and that fluidity and being able to see how we as human beings, no matter our differences, we just have so much more in common than we have that separates us. And I feel just very privileged to be able to see that. I would go deeper into this, but I really can't think of anything. I mean, it's rather clear-cut for me. I can't choose. As for the bonus question, I chose this question with my answer being in mind, actually the same thing that Bryn talked about, with Kaylin and Richard in the Sort of Truth novels, and seeing that Bryn very thoroughly covered that and exactly how I feel, I am going to talk about something different. The other books that have also made a huge impact on my life are the Clan of the Cave Bear series by Jean Orell. Let me grab that actually. I'm not entirely prepared today, I guess, but this is the Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Orell. I have an older copy, so I don't have the wonderful illustrations and watercolors, but she just finished up this series. She's been working on this for like 20 or 30 years. She publishes one book every 6 to 10 years, and so it's actually been 9 years since the last book came out, and it was the last book in this series, and it's amazing. It's about a little girl. It's a historical fiction. It's about a little girl. She's one of us, back in prehistoric Neolithic times, and she lives in kind of the Turkish, what's not Turkish, Turkey Peninsula area, and there's an earthquake, and she's like 4, and her whole family ends up dying, and she, to make a long story short, gets picked up by a group of Neanderthals that raise her, and she grows up with them and eventually gets kicked out when she's in her mid-teens, late teens, and then meets a young man who is one of us and falls in love with him, and then travels all the way across the European continent with him, and eventually marries him, and he lives in the central France where a lot of the cave paintings are, and he's part of a large tribe of people that are actually responsible for the cave paintings. And so that's the gist of the entire series, the, 6-8 books that are in there. And I just love this little girl. The little girl's name is Isla, and Isla's foster mother, so to speak, is an herbalist, and in the book she learns how to be an herbalist, and she's an extraordinarily powerful woman. Her totem is a cave lion, and it's a very, very masculine symbol, and throughout the entire series there's this constant interplay about how she's a woman, but she does so many things that men do, and yet she's very feminine, and yet she's still respected for being so masculine. And she's able to live in this space where she's both. She's such a powerful, beautiful mother and woman and leader, spiritually and as a hunter, a powerful medicine woman, and it's just amazing. I've followed this series, and I connect very strongly with who she is and where she comes from, and a lot of the experiences that she goes through, and it inspired me to go to Europe. And I spent a year in Europe, and I had a mentor that taught me how to identify artifacts from actually the Ice Ages, which is when the story is set, and he was an anthropologist and an archaeologist, and so I went on digs, and he specialized in the Stone Ages, and so I spent a whole year with him learning all about the Stone Age and all of these artifacts that these books are based on. And they've had a huge impact on me. A huge, huge impact on me. So, alright, well, thank you so much, and I'm definitely looking forward to Sam's response tomorrow. And then we have a new question with Bryn next week. Alright, take care.